5 Community Police Review Board meeting to order. Just some quick announcement before proceeding. I would like to provide board members some guidance on how to use the technology at the dais. To speak, you will need to use the mics, which are activated by pushing the talk button or the push button. And you will need to wait for the chair to acknowledge the speaker before proceeding to talk. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Member Beasley Day. Present. Member Bryant. Present. Member Byrd. Present. Member Christensen. Here. Member Demrell.
Here.
Member Grant. Member Smith. Member Hahn.
Here.
Chairman Solorio.
Here. All right. Do any of the board members have any conflicts of interest pertaining to items listed on the agenda tonight? Okay, seeing none. As noted on the agenda, public comment will only be in person and Zoom will still be available for viewing and wordly translation. Please note, there is no public comments for items 5 through 8. On these items are informational only. Does anyone wish to speak on any item under public on any item under public comment? This is for items not on the agenda. You have 3 minutes to speak. Anyone wishing to address the board is asked to follow the rules of decorum. The rules of decorum are posted at the entrance of the chambers as well. I will also be reading them here. Please be respectful of all presenters, board members, staff, and members of the public. Please refrain from clapping other than following a presentation. All speakers are encouraged to state their name and city of residence. All questions must be directed to the chair. Please do not block the view of others by holding signs up during board meetings. Time limit for public comments is 3 minutes, but may be limited at the discretion of the chair to manage the business of the board. Speaking over others or interrupting while others have the floor is not permitted, and cell phones should be turned off or shall be set to vibrate during the meetings. On to item 3, consent. Consider approving the minutes from the, oh, I'm sorry. Actually, we should be opening up for public comment. I apologize. We're going to back up here. So if there's anyone out in the public that has any comments or questions they would like, please come up to the dais. I do have one speaker card. Harlan.
My name is Harlan Diven. I'm a local attorney. I reside in Modesto. The last Community Police Review Board meeting was my first, and you guys made some really important decisions at that meeting. I wanted to commend you on the analysis that went into the decision that was made here. I agreed with your analysis, and I looked at it really closely. The First Amendment is a carve out from majority rule. So it means that our right to free expression isn't subject to the will of the majority. That also means that the survey questions that are going into the survey, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's 80% or 90% or 100% of people that say the mask ordinance should exist. What's going to happen is this case is going to go to court, and court is going to find that the First Amendment supersedes the mask ordinance. The case is going to be expensive. It's going to be long. It's going to be embarrassing, and it's going to eat up city resources. It's a loser. CPRB did the right thing. What happened afterwards was a lack of process. We were told at City Council that CPRB was the next decision maker. And after that decision, it would go back to City Council for movement on this case. That did not happen. You know that, I know that. The lack of clarity and process here is very frustrating to the public, and it's wrong. It's wrong to not have clarity of process when you have a measure that violates constitutional rights. So I'm asking for some clarity of process from CPRB, from City Council, from the city manager. It's very important. Again, obfuscating process here is dangerous. It makes the city dangerously liable here. So I want to commend CPRB again on your analysis. I want to commend you on how you came out to this decision. There was a lively conversation here. I don't know what the next step is. This body needs to have teeth. This body needs to have decision-making power. Your recommendations need to not be suggestions. I don't know how that happens. This body is new. It's new for Modesto. It's new for this municipal government, but we are the seat of the county, and more than the county is watching right now, the state is watching. This matter has been on Cal Matters. It's been in the Merced paper. It's in the Modesto paper over and over again. This body needs to decide how it is going to push back against what's happening in the city right now, and how your voice is going to be is going to hold up the rights of the citizens of Modesto. So again, I commend you. My hat is off to you. You have a long road ahead of you, but you have a lot of support. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the public that would like to come up and speak?
Good evening, board. I also just wanted to commend you guys for the recommendation that was made at the last meeting. I think it was good to make the decision as quickly as possible. I also agree that the survey is a waste of time because the tyranny of the majority should not overrule the rights of the minorities, especially people of color in today's world. But I guess I just wanted to touch on one point, and that was that what the chief of police said in the last meeting, and that was that he would not have advocated for the existence of this board if he had known it would be acting as a watchdog group. And I think that runs completely counter to what a civilian police review board should be. I think that the board needs more power, needs more oversight, needs investigative power, needs punitive power. And I think it's not fair that there isn't an actual system in place for the people who are subject to the power that the police carry towards them. There should be a way for the people to have some sort of balance of power, I guess, between the civilians and the police. And I think that this board should be it. So I just think it's a shame that basically there is no teeth here. You know, all you had was a recommendation that was pushed to the city council, and now we're waiting on these city council members who I feel are now avoiding the subject because they're afraid of how it's going to affect their political careers. They're afraid, oh, maybe this is an unpopular decision if we were to actually vote on this, and it'll affect our re-election chances or other positions of other political positions we might run for in the future. And so they would rather have the city waste hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees to avoid risking their political careers. And I think that's really what's going on here. They're afraid of the people who want to keep the mask ordinance, voting them out in the future. But yeah, that's all I had to say. I didn't have anything prepared, but I'm just kind of want to vent, but still thank you guys so much for being making the quick decision to recommend a repeal on the mask ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, board. I'd like to reiterate some of the comments made by some of my fellow community members here tonight. I think that the Community Police Review Board has been doing a great job, and we really appreciate the first recommendation that y'all made to the city council and the city manager. It's unfortunate that that largely fell on deaf ears. And it's also unfortunate that the second recommendation that y'all made, I think with the context of the conversations that happened here at the previous meeting, that it really was about a good faith effort to collect community input. And I worry that's being warped by the city manager in order to create the narrative that the fundamental rights secured by our First Amendment are somehow matters of public opinion. Our rights aren't subject to the court of public opinion. They are fundamental, they are inalienable. And I think that this board understands that, and I worry that our city council doesn't. So thank you for doing your job. Y'all are here as volunteers. You're not getting paid. You're doing a better job than the city council that is getting paid. And frankly, you aren't being given the power to do the job nearly as well as you could be, which is why I think there's a call for this board to have some more teeth here tonight. I've asked for expansion to this board before in the form of like a youth rep, but I think that for the work that y'all are doing at the quality y'all are doing it, you really need more power. And that means having an operating budget. To that end, I think that that's investigative power. That's making sure y'all have the resources you need. I'm not even sure if y'all have business cards. I remember that being a thing for if y'all were even be able to get those. That's honestly ridiculous. If we really believe as a city in the value of a community police review board, we need to invest in a community police review board. To that end, and I would say a portion of our police budget should be going to this board. If it's really about community police relations, I would hope that while I very seldom see eye to eye with our police chief, I'd like to think that's something we could agree on. Now, the particulars of, is it a standing carve out, you get 5%, or it's a set dollar value, or it's part of the budget each time. That's all room we can negotiate the finer details, but a portion of that budget really should be going to you all. And I want to make that clear that it is a portion of that budget. That's a reallocation of existing funds. That is not an increase to the police budget. I feel we already spend too much on an over-militarized police force. And I think a good faith effort from the police would be to say, hey, we want to invest in a safer community by having a portion of our budget go to the CPRB because y'all need the power to do the job that you're already working so hard to do. Ooh, that's a stipend. That's an operating budget. Y'all are amazing. You all are what civic engagement looks like. I would love to see more of this energy from our city council because y'all are doing a great job. We appreciate you. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Hello, good
Hello.
evening. My name is Nora. I'm a resident of Modesto, and I would like to mirror what everyone else here has said and say that I truly appreciate this board taking the time to review the Modesto City ordinance regarding the mask ban. And I appreciate your thoughtful research and commitment to not just this matter, but to police accountability as a whole. I am a bit concerned, more than a bit concerned, that the hard work that went into this recommendation and the work of the Modesto Police Review Board in general is not being taken seriously by the city of Modesto or by Modesto Police Department. Following the recommendation to repeal the mask ban, the city stated that they are evaluating next steps, but so far all they've considered is the potential legal action that may come of it. I feel that the city should not use this board only as a way to protect themselves from legal repercussions. The intent of the board's recommendations and the intent of the board is to improve Modesto and its relationship and protection from law enforcement, and that should be the priority. Additionally, I'm concerned that Chief Gillespie's insulting comments about the board and the work that you do, calling the presentation by the ad hoc committee nothing but internet research, lacking in neutrality, balance, and sufficient research, and a regurgitation of advocacy letters. Those are only the comments that were made publicly. I can't imagine what was said behind closed doors. The report on the mask ordinance by this board included information on constitutional law, California Penal Code, similar ordinances in California and nationally. It was very clear to me that it was well thought out, well researched, well analyzed, and I can't imagine why the chief would say that about the recommendation just because he does not agree with it. This type of reaction to the CPRB is an insult to the board's commitment to police accountability. And we need to see Modesto Police Department cooperate with the review board, not only when they receive praise, but when their actions are being rightly criticized. Finally, I'd like to also say that I hope that the actions of the board will one day have a greater impact on Modesto legislation. If the city manager can choose to ignore any of the work done by this board, it wastes your time, it wastes our time, and it gives everybody a false sense that improvements are taking place. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the public that would like to come up and speak? Okay, seeing none, I'll be closing public comments and we'll be moving on to consent item A. Consider approving the minutes from the Community Police Review Board meeting on September 17th, 2025. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion passes. Moving on to new business. Discuss and decide calendar topics for November and December of 2025. Quick announcement from Scotty.
So this is introducing the
Yeah,
item? Okay.
yeah.
So here we are again. We do this a couple of times a year, and we are here to discuss the final topics for this year. It's for November and December. As a reminder, so there's a list here, and Samuel, the clerk, will actually put this up on the screen too, so that we can all kind of follow along. So as you'll notice, there are several topics that were presented throughout the year. Starting from January all the way up until this meeting here. And there's several topics. One of the things that we're going to be doing is putting together at the end of the year is a document so that you all can take a look at that in January as we're talking about topics in January for 2026 and board priorities. Meanwhile, what that will do is it'll kind of give you an opportunity to have a look back. All right, what did we do in the year prior, and then this year in 2025, as you're looking forward into 2026. It also gives an opportunity for the public to see when these topics had come up. If there's something they'd like to go back and revisit, they'd like to go take a look at that. If they were unable to attend the meeting, they can still go back and view that on our website. So with that, there's a few topics here that were for consideration that haven't been brought up yet. One is the Know Your Rights Summit. I know that we had some talks earlier this last year, and I think that there might be some opportunities here to maybe consider, because I know that this was part of one of the policy goals that were recommended by Forward Together. I know that in January, there will be, some consideration for topics next year, but also kind of January, February, the consideration of any ad hocs that you'd like to create this next year to maybe kind of continue to focus on certain areas. So this one in particular is, I believe it's policy goal number 2. And within that policy goal is this particular topic, and there might be some interest from board members that want to participate in that specifically, so we can continue that. The next is the NACOL 2025 debrief presentation. I would recommend having that either in November, maybe December, from the board members that are going to be attending the NACOL conference this year. I think that's really helpful. The last couple of years we've had that, and I think that could be a great opportunity for a November or December topic. And then finally, what we have here is Brown Act training. And in consideration, working with the board chair, January is usually the month that we kind of do board business. So it's electing the chair, the vice chair, talking about board priorities and the informational topics you all want to consider through 2026, kind of focusing on. And that's usually, and we do this for, most of our boards, commissions, and committees, and that's provide kind of annual board Brown Act training, just to kind of have a refresher. And that would be by the city attorney. So that would be my recommendations. The Know Your Rights Summit might be an opportunity for an ad hoc. NACOL could be considered for November, December. And then there's Brown Act training, which my recommendation would be in January. So those are all for your consideration. And we're here to provide any assistance we can while you all determine what you'd like to discuss in November and December. Thank you.
Thank you, Scotty. Is there anyone on the board that has any comments? Kenneth?
Yeah, I would be in favor of placing the Nicole debrief in November. I believe that conference is the last week of this month, correct? So I'm interested to know whether any of the similar review boards throughout the country are dealing with similar issues that we are. And specifically on this First Amendment Assembly ordinance, if there are other agencies throughout the country that are struggling with the same issue, and how, if they've come to some conclusion or some method of approaching this, I'd be interested in hearing feedback on that. So, perhaps that would inform us and be able to maybe more, clearly suggest to the city council what the situation looks like nationwide relative to that topic. And, you know, maybe it won't come up, but I suspect that that this topic has probably appeared before other agencies throughout the country. And I'd be interested in feedback on that. So I'm in favor of putting that on the November ballot.
Okay.
I'm just gonna second that. For what you said, Ken, but also it's fresh. We have an opportunity to hear a summary from, how many are going this time? 3, I think, right?
2.
2. Get it while it's fresh. I would look forward to hearing where we have space and time to hear a whole presentation from those that are going.
Can I talk?
Yeah, go ahead, Brad.
I think it'd be good to have a part of one of our meetings coming up carved out to look at the ad hoc committee structure that we have, because I think ad hoc committees are supposed to come and sunset, and I think we have kind of given open-ended responsibility to the ad hocs instead of, for instance, an example would be instead of, you know, the one that I'm on about helping with Latino youth and police, okay? By halfway through, your goal is to have 6 meetings out in the public or something like that, so that we have actual marching orders and that they don't languish, because it's easy for them to languish. And because along with what has been talked about getting out, I think getting out into the community more, I think an ad hoc committee that we could discuss is one that really purposely gets, their job is to make meetings, for this meeting to be off-site, for other kinds of activities that we do using the tent and such that we've requested that we're going to go to these 5 community events. All of us are going to have to do those and work on, but that group would have, their charge would be, okay, we're not going to talk about it anymore. We're going to be for 1 year, and we're going to do this, this, and this during that year. I just think it'd be, we get a lot more done that way if we had more specific goals, and we can agree on the goals and change the goals and do whatever we want. But I think it might be a good exercise in kind of looking at who we are, where we are, and how we should parse out the work that we need to have done and be more deliberate about it. I just think it'd be worth a pretty good conversation about that, the different goals that we have, and figure out which one's hot and who wants to work on them.
Okay.
Chair, if I could comment just real quick on that one. So obviously, we've been working with the chair on some of these topics. I know that kind of like around February-ish, I think, there is a consideration for report outs from the existing ad hocs and then discussing the future of those ad hocs. The discussion in January would be my recommendation. We could probably put something on the and just start talking about what the formation of the next ones could be, and then deciding on those, just so that these are done. It's just, kind of, I don't want to, well, I'm sorry. I'm just, there's a lot of work that you all are doing, especially on those ad hocs. So that might be just my suggestion, might be a good time to do that.
'cause
We could
really,
actually put that on the list.
The ad hocs are supposed to come and go. If we create a permanent committee, then it starts having to be act like a Brown Act group. So, then all of the entanglements happen with that. So if we could, and this, I think, just being more specific about what we're going to do and have measurable deadlines and measurable outcomes, then I think we're going to get a lot more done. And I think that time frame to me is a great time frame to do it.
Okay.
You mean February?
February, yeah, February, yeah. I think that it's not something that has to be done tomorrow, but as we look forward to it, and we can all think about what that might look like and which ones we might want to be on.
Yeah. Let's go with Austin real quick, and then I'll come back to you, Kenneth.
Are we excuse me, are we at the moment recommending certain ad hoc committees at the moment? I just wanted to stay on topic. No. Okay.
No, just right now.
I'm
just
not.
Discussion
Okay.
of the calendar topics.
Oh, okay. Well,
It's for November and December.
okay. In response to that, I do agree that, the NACOL could be on November, because, it's just right after. I mean, it's just fresh. And then I don't know how December looks for everyone. And so I was gonna ask, did we even want to meet in December as a board? Because you know everyone has vacations and everything. So I just wanted to ask that first.
1 week before Christmas.
Yeah, it'd be December 17th.
Good. I'm here.
I think I'll be here, but yeah, it's up to the board. Kenneth, did you have something you wanted to
Yeah,
add?
I agree with Member Han's comments about exploring this further. And at our brief yesterday, Mr. Fukasawa advised us that we're probably violating the Brown Act as we sit here with these committees that we've formed. We've got the policy goal number 8, policy goal number 1, and policy goal number 3. And I know for a fact that our committee, when I'm on policy goal number 8, we have not advertised it, we have not agendized it. And according to what Mr. Fukasawa told us yesterday, because they are standing, the way they're formed, they're basically standing committees, that we're supposed to comply with the provisions of the Brown Act, which mean that the agenda has to be posted, it has to be publicized. We certainly haven't been doing that. So I think, given his advice, I think, we should be cautious about meeting any further with those groups until we have the opportunity to do what Brad is suggesting, and forming these ad hoc committees that have a limited duration. That way they don't have to comply with the provisions of the Brown Act, as long as there's only, a minority of us meeting and not the majority of the board. So I just wanted to offer that comment about the advice we were given yesterday by Mr. Fukasawa.
And Mr. Chair, if
Yeah.
I could comment on that. So we met with Mr. Fukasawa following. There's no violations per se right now. It's that reminder that, there was a particular goal, time to, look at forming the next version of ad hocs, given that, and this was in conversation with him, that, given that the board was brand new a couple years ago, started, created the policy goal, ad hocs. It's just reiterating that understanding. And so, an opportunity right now just to kind of look at, okay, what aligning with the board's priorities for this 2026 year, perhaps there's some opportunity there to sunset the current ones, have some report outs by those groups, and then form the ad hocs that are in alignment with this next calendar year.
Thank you, Scotty. Nancy?
We also have Ms. Fukasawa online to advise if needed.
Thank you.
Very good, we got you.
Okay, thank you. I think, my understanding about the conversation yesterday was that we perhaps should regularize goals and timetables for those committees rather than we've been in constant violation, because I really don't believe we had. It was not our understanding that we were standing committees. So, and I think it would probably be a good idea for each of the subcommittees to try to, if not wrap up their work, come to this is what we've done. We don't need any more time, or we need maybe 2 more months to look at these 2 things, and then we're ready to move on, or have another group take over this topic. And I would say, we've tried to meet. Meeting has been difficult, as it has for many of the other policy committees, whatever. I don't think it was so clearly defined for us, because it was a new board, new committees. What exactly, what goals, timetables, and so we were we'd meet and somebody would have read something, or, and we'd discuss that, and we'd sometimes discuss the policies. And I think we've tried to get more focused over the past year, and have more directed meetings. And I don't know if that's true for everybody else, but they've been sort of amorphous. Let's look at this with no goals or timetable.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
It kind of sounds like we're getting a little bit off the agenda. Maybe we could refocus on the calendar topics.
Okay, so we're kind of discussing the ad hocs a little too much here.
Yeah, so, yeah, the calendar topics for
Yeah.
November, December, I'm hearing one, I'm trying to take notes and track that.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
it sounds to me like from the ensuing discussion that just took place here, that perhaps the Brown Act training is something we should visit
Have in
sooner than
December.
later.
I can defer to Mr. Fukasawa on that because I know that he be providing that training. Go ahead, John.
I think that is something that we're planning on doing in January.
Mr. Bryant, or Board Member Bryant, I'm just confirming. I think it sounded like you were suggesting earlier than that.
Yeah, he was suggesting maybe in December.
But I'm fine with that as long as we understand that, you know, the way this board was formed by the city council, we are subject to the Brown Act. I mean, I don't think there's any question about that, right? And that's why we publish these agendas and why we're confined by the rules that govern the Brown Act when we conduct these meetings and all that, and as far as public comments and all that. You know, had the council not formed this way, the city not formed this way, we could have been a more informal committee. And we could have had, you know, as many meetings as we wanted with as many people as we wanted, because we wouldn't be subject to the Brown Act. But that's not the way this board was formed. And so we are subject to the Brown Act. And as Mr. Fukasawa pointed out yesterday, I mean, the way I took it is we need a little more training
Yeah.
so that we understand it better.
Yeah, we don't.
I'm speaking for myself. I mean, everybody else may have a very clear understanding of it. But I'm speaking for myself.
Thank you, Ken. Yeah. I was just gonna say, let's see if the public has any comments or questions, and then we can bring it back to the board and we can bring up more topics. Yeah, of course.
Can you open? Thank you. In listening to this, I personally would have a suggestion that in December, maybe we add on agenda an overview of the difference between ad hoc and subcommittee and where we can just meet casually as that subcommittee versus more formally to help us plan when we come back in February to talk about specifics on new committees.
Good idea.
Perhaps Mr. Fukasawa can also weigh in on that one.
Yeah, that's something that you know, if the board wants to add that up to the agenda, we could add that.
Okay.
Just point of clarification, you meant prior to our discussion about subcommittees that we might want to, ad hoc committees we might want to form in the future, right, Trish?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
My
not-
suggestion was that we get a better understanding of where we can meet casually as a group of three versus we should be agendized and formalized to help us look forward to how we want to make suggestions in February for new committees.
Okay. Is there any other comments from the board at this time? Okay, I'll bring it back to you guys here in a sec. We're gonna go ahead and open it up to the public. Is there anyone in the public that has any comments or questions on this topic? Feel free to come up. You have 3 minutes to speak. Remember, it's on topics for the rest of our calendar year. If there's anything you guys would like to hear, like for us to possibly bring up as a topic for discussion, if there's anyone in the public, please come forward and you will have 3 minutes to speak.
Hey, everybody, Harlan again. I think I'm sorry to harp on this, but process is so important here. It really is. So knowing when you're having ad hocs and what they're deciding, all of that is really important. I appreciate the conversation that's happening here. One thing that I would like to see agendized, and I don't know how to do this, is more input from the independent police auditor and their updates. I saw a very, like at the last Community Police Review Board meeting, I saw a very kind of quick overview from them, but I don't know their role in the community. I don't know their role as CPRB. I don't know what power they have or don't have. So I would like clarity on that. If you don't have clarity on it, I'd like to see that on your agenda and really spelled out what power that body does and doesn't have, also what power this body does and doesn't have. But I appreciate figuring out the ad hocs. I do think you're forming standing committees as well. So I would urge you to follow Mr. Bryant's recommendation and be really careful about that. Because if those committees become permanent, like I want to know what's being decided in them. It's really important. So thank you for the conversation.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the public? Okay, seeing none, then we'll go ahead and close public comments, bring it back to the board. Any other topics on anyone's minds for the rest of this year? So far we have a debrief for NACOL in November. So I mean, I want to quickly ask Nancy and Latricia if they feel the 3 weeks after NACOL should be plenty of time. Okay. Yeah, so then we can leave NACOL in November, and then in December, there was overview of ad hocs versus a standing subcommittee, and then possible informational on the contract with the city and the IPA so that the community can better understand their role together. And that was another topic I think Stephen might be on. So I don't know, Stephen, if in December that could be something that's a quick response. What do you think?
Sorry for the technical difficulties there. Yes,
No
I
worries.
think that would be fine. Happy to assist with that however I can.
Okay. What does the board feel? Do you think that would be something good in December to get
Combine the two.
combine the two? Yeah. Wendy?
You're unmuted. Go ahead. You're unmuted. Go ahead.
I was just saying, I think that would be good.
Okay. Is there any other ideas you guys want to jot down now for maybe next year, just so that we can have them? If not,
I think we move forward with Brown Act in January and reevaluating new committees of whichever form in February.
February.
And I believe, I'm sorry, I believe that we also, the last time, you know, if you have things that you have an idea or something like that, feel free to send an email to Simi. She can kind of collect those and we can bring those back when we talk about next year's topics.
Okay. All right. Any last minute comments from the board? No? Okay. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on to staff comments and reports. So we'll have an update from the independent police auditor, Stephen.
Thank you, Chair Solorio, and good evening again, everybody. I appreciate the comment from the member of the public, and certainly happy to provide further illumination about the role of the independent police auditor at an upcoming meeting and how it works. The office was, as you folks know, established back at the time of the Forward Together process and the creation of your board, and it's meant to be a complement to your board. And we have published a couple of reports. The agreement is laying out the scope of work and the role of the independent police auditor. All that stuff is publicly available, and I'm certainly very willing to engage and answer questions from individual members of the community as well. I have heard from community members in recent weeks with regard to all the things that have been happening in your city and have been tracking it very carefully. I don't have any new content to present to you this evening, other than to just say a couple things as far as upcoming events. I know the NACO conference is a great opportunity, and I'm very enthusiastic about the city providing support for a couple of members to attend again this year. And I will not be able to make it personally because of a couple of conflicts, but my colleague Mike Giannacco, who has worked with your board on a few different occasions, will absolutely be there representing our office and actually presenting on a couple of panels. So I hope that the board members that are going will be able to see him in action, and I'm looking forward to hearing about the report. It's the end of the year is coming, and I will be engaging with the department as things wrap up in terms of starting the new cycle for our annual review process, which is kind of the centerpiece of our role in Modesto. So I will be making an in-person visit to Modesto probably in early December, or to sync up with the December meeting if you go ahead and have that. And we'll start talking to the department about the kind of universe of cases from the current year that we will kind of randomly pick through and take the mandatory selections to initiate the process of transparency and accountability for the department's internal review mechanisms. So I certainly happy to answer any questions that you folks have, and otherwise I will look forward to seeing you in person at an upcoming meeting soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. Up next is staff comments and reports. Scotty?
There are no comments or reports from staff tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Scotty. All right, moving on to board comments and reports. Is there an update from policy goal number 8, review use of force policy to minimize likelihood of death resulting from the use of force?
Yes, we met in September, I believe, and we also, the three of us, Austin and Ken and I, met with Lieutenant Kleiber and Chief Gillespie last Friday, and we had some issues that we had spent time discussing that were brought up in Forward Modesto, and we felt that the three of us at least felt that it was very helpful and productive meeting for us. We spent nearly 2 hours at MPD, and we need to kind of sit down, the three of us, and kind of say,
Can't legally.
yes, we can. So we need to just meet and say, okay, here's what we all think about that, and what, if anything, do we want to recommend to this board? So that's kind of where we are.
Thank you, Nancy. Next is policy goal number 1, improve relations between the community and the department.
We have not met since last month's meeting, so not at this time, but I look forward to getting our overview and restructure.
Thank you. Next is policy goal number 3, reduce youth arrests, particularly among Latino youth.
Thank you. Nico and I met with a community citizen that was interested in possibly collaborating with our board to create some mentoring programs and things like that. But it's still in the infancy stages with him, and he was working with other organizations like Youth for Christ. And so we just had a preliminary conversation on that. And then also I want to say that tomorrow at 3 o'clock is the groundbreaking at the Martin Luther King Park. That park is going to be closed for probably a year and a half or a little longer. They're going to renovate the whole park. They're going to build another building at the rear of the park that's going to be a full court basketball gym. And then they're also going to place an extension onto the King Kennedy Center with a multi-purpose room. So there's going to be a splash pad, I think soccer field and in the park. But it's going to be really, really nice once it's finished. And we think that one of the things of reducing arrests is by providing more activities for young people. So that's good to see. And then they're still working on the Maddox Youth Center I'm not sure of the date of when that will be ready, but certainly those two accomplishments, I think, will really provide activities and services on the west side.
Thank you, Wendy. Is there any other updates from any other board members? Brief announcements, report briefly on his or her activities? Kenneth?
Chris, you want to go first?
Sorry, I was battling the button with you. It's more of a suggestion or request that since Scotty mentioned that our list of schedule will be posted on the website, that we add the date of with the month, not just the month, because it's going to become more public. It might help drive people to focus on dates and times to address topics.
Thank you. That's a very good point.
You're welcome.
That's a very good point. And also just the files that we upload to the website. Simi's been doing a little bit of restructuring and adding like the dates to those as well, the full dates, so that people are aware of when they occurred.
Thank you. Kenneth?
I just wanted to mention that as well as my role on this board, I also serve on Councilman Bavaro's advisory council. And he asked me to meet with his advisory council on the 6th, I believe is a Monday this month, and brief them on our conversations and our process as far as dealing with the First Amendment Assembly Ordinance. And so I was able to do that, and we had a fairly robust give and take question and answer period. I just wanted everybody to be aware that I had done that. And there were about, I think, 8 members of the community that were there in attendance.
Thank you, Kenneth. Anyone else? No? Okay. I don't know if everyone has been able to read their emails, so I'm going to go ahead and just report out the response that our board received from the city manager. So I'm just gonna, me and the city talked on this and they said I can go ahead and read the email out to you guys. So I'll be doing that. All right. Dear Chair and Community Police Review Board members, this email is to confirm the city manager's office receipt of the recommendations by the Community Police Review Board related to the City of Modesto's Public Assembly Ordinance. Recommendations. The CPRB recommends to the city manager to repeal subsection A13 of Ordinance 4-23.02. And the second recommendation that the CPRB take advantage of partnering with the city to include questions in the city's community survey. The CPRB was established by the City Council to provide community insight into matters related to policing in Modesto. We appreciate the work that was done by the ad hoc committee and board in coming to the recommendations, and appreciate the board's acknowledgement that additional public input may be necessary by way of survey. We agree that all voices and concerns should be considered prior to making any decision regarding the ordinance. For this reason, my office is taking several additional steps to fully evaluate potential future changes to the ordinance before bringing final recommendations and options to the City Council for consideration. As communicated by members of the public who attended the CPRB and recent council meetings, there are calls from some groups and residents for the city to take immediate action to remove the prohibition of mask or face coverings unless necessary for medical or religious purposes from the ordinance. While their voices are heard at every meeting and their input is welcome, it is important to consider the needs and opinions of the entire City of Modesto community. This includes those voices that represent the residents and business owners that this ordinance is designed to protect in the form of public safety. And equally as important, this includes hearing from individuals who may decide not to exercise their freedom of speech due to potential safety concerns if the ordinance is changed. Public input, whether for or against the ordinance provision, is always informative. The city has recently heard sentiments from community members that counter the opinions spoken by those who have been attending the council and CPRB meetings. As such, the city has moved forward with CPRB's second recommendation related to issuing a community-wide survey related to the issue of the restriction of masks or face coverings during public assemblies, except if needed for medical or religious purposes. This survey is being conducted by a professional polling firm to ensure it is done in the most reliable and statistically valid manner that reaches all segments of our community. The city will also continue to work with its First Amendment Council to weigh all options and consult with experts to ensure we provide safe and legal environments for individuals to exercise their rights to peacefully protest. It is important that we do our due diligence, given that the city has experienced violent protests in recent years. We anticipate this work being completed in the coming months. I want to express my gratitude to the board for its recommendations. The city values all perspectives and concerns from our community, and we will continue to do so throughout this process. Sincerely, Joe Lopez. And that's it. So I just wanted to, read that out for everyone and just kind of be as transparent as we can with the board and with the community out there. So yeah, that's it. Moving on to future agenda items that just says to be determined. The topic, yeah, perfect. Okay, and next is just adjournment. Our next meeting is November 19th, 2025. Thank you all and have a good night.